glad that we could all get together today and to discuss the progress that we've made on our audit. We do have an agenda for you today, and we also have an additional copy for Kim if you wanted to pass that along to her.
I can do that.
And I think you've met most of my team before, but just in case, I have with me today Josh and Winnie, as well as Megan and Kevin. And I think we've made a lot of great progress with the audit, and I know that we really appreciate all the hard work that you, as well as Doug and Melanie, have put in to make our job easier, you know, as well as with all the changes that have been going on to get us all the information we need. And that being said, we have come across a few issues that we wanted to discuss with you today. And we do have this summary for you, just in case, you know, we're not able to cover everything. And we also have a copy for Kim as well.
Okay.
Just, you know, in case, due to time constraints, we know your time is valuable, that we don't get to those. And to discuss our first issue today, we have Kevin, who's going to address some of the concerns that you addressed on your board.
Yes, so we know you guys were interested in our thoughts about the audit committee in terms of how it's comprised now and in the future what it should be comprised of. So we did a little bit of research for you guys. We know currently we have obviously the CEO, who's currently on it, as well as Caesar, and Kim, who's the managing director, I think, at Rock Media. The main issue that we came across was the independence issue in terms of Sarbanes-Oxley. One of the main issues, they've really increased their rules and requirements on the audit committee, and so the audit committee has to be independent of the company and have to be independent board members. And overall, independence is really a good thing for Fox in general, because it's going to help you objectively assess the best audit firms, and really making the best decisions, you know, objectively is the main issue.
Right, and independence is also important because it provides your investors with more confidence, and they can see that then Fox is committed to really making the most accurate financial statements possible. And so that's why at this time we have some concerns about the independence requirements that Kevin was talking about for the interim audit committee.
Yeah, in addition to independence, there's also the financial expert requirement based on Sarbanes-Oxley, which requires at least one financial expert being on the audit committee, as well as the New York Stock Exchange. The requirement is that all members be at least financially literate. I know you guys are a publicly traded company, so I know it's important to meet those requirements. In addition to, kind of like the independence where it's good for your company, also these requirements are also just going to be good for your company in general, because if you have a financial expert and financially literate members on the audit committee, that's just going to help you in the long run, because if you have these experts, it's going to take less time, less money dealing with the audit team versus the audit committee, so it's really going to help you out in the long run.
So what is the recommendation?
Megan's going to actually talk to you about that.
Well, Kevin and I, we reviewed your current board of directors to see if we could find some good examples for you of individuals who meet these requirements that Kevin was just talking about. And so some key players like Dale Martin, Carla Thomas, George Alheiser, they all have really great backgrounds, and they're the type of people that you would want to look at when you're making up your audit committee.
So is there a problem, I guess, with me? Would that be it?
This is true. Currently, the CEO cannot serve on the audit committee because this violates the independence requirements in Sarbanes-Oxley, as well as Kim Rock, because she has a major financial implication with Fox being a client of Rock.
So I'm still eligible to serve on the audit committee? Yes.
All right, well, we'll take this under advisement. Thank you.
No problem.
And, you know, along those same lines, another area that we encountered when we were doing our audit work was a valuation of your allowance for uncollectible accounts, and I'm going to turn it over to Winnie, who's done a lot of the work on that, to tell you in more detail what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, as part of our audit procedure, we independently calculate the allowance for uncollectible accounts receivable. And based on your customer information and current practice in the industry, we calculate the number, the estimation is $538,930. And the number currently on the account is $504,940. So there is a difference of $34,500. We have
Seems pretty small.
yeah, I know this probably will decrease the net income and decrease the net asset.
And this, yeah, this is something that we've talked about, you know, with your assistant CFO, and I understand the amount seems small in comparison to your revenues. But what it really comes down to is we're concerned about what happened behind this, and Josh is actually going to talk a little bit more about why this number is a concern in terms of our viewpoint as well as yours as the management signing off on the internal controls issues.
Yeah, so as Lisa and Winnie were both saying, we talked to the assistant CFO about this issue, and he told us that it occurred because of like a glitch in the computer system, and that it's not normally checked for accuracy. So while this does, it's not a huge concern, as you're saying, it's only $34,500, but it does raise concerns for us as far as internal controls go. As auditors, as you know, we're required not only to give you an opinion on the accuracy of the financial statements, but also on the effectiveness of internal controls. And so just going forward, we know it's an exciting time for Fox Corporation, as you guys have a lot of turnover and a lot of things going on right now. And while it may be exciting from that standpoint, it's also very risky from an audit standpoint. So we just want to let you know that we are going to increase the scope on internal control testing a little bit due to this issue. And we really think this will help us connect with management better and really help us provide more value to Fox Corporation moving forward, as we can assess your internal controls and see if there's any other areas where we might be able to help out on and identify any kind of efficiencies in control. So it's really just going to help you guys as a business moving forward if we look at internal controls more so.
Could you elaborate what increased scope means exactly?
Yeah, so the way it's divided up right now is we have low risk controls, medium risk controls, and high risk controls. And what we'll basically be doing is, right now we're currently testing a lot of low risk controls in interim periods. So I'm sure you saw us running around here this summer a lot, and that's a lot of what the work we were doing over the summer is testing these low risk controls. Whereas the high risk controls we save for the end of the year. And what we're going to do by increasing scope is move a lot of these low risk and medium risk controls that we would normally test in, like, say, July, and move them into a high risk area more so towards the end of the year. So we get a broader range of data to look at in a broader range of months. So just more business is going on in those periods, and it'll just help us to identify any other errors that may be there.
Yeah, that's what you guys really need to do. It just seems like $30,000 for us.
It's a lot of work.
Scope and looking at internal controls is a lot more closely, but definitely better you all feel the data get comfortable.
Well, and we also think it's important on your standpoint, because not only do we have to sign off on these, but it's something you do as well, and we know that you guys are very, just from working with you in the past, you're very focused on reporting the most accurate financial statements you can. So I know that this would also be a concern for you as well as for us. And along another area where we actually looked at one of the calculations from the data that you guys have given us is the potential for a legal lawsuit. And I'm actually going to pass it to Megan, who went over some of the details with your company and with your people. So.
Right, so another issue we wanted to talk to you guys about today is the consumer complaint that has been filed against Fox Corporation. And so we understand that Doug Tanner wrote to outside legal counsel requesting them to review the lawsuit. And then what we did is we reviewed the response by outside legal counsel. So I have the letter here from Norma Montague. I'm not sure if you guys actually received this letter or have had a chance to look at it. But in essence, she describes that the lawsuit, it is probable that Fox will incur a loss. And she also made an estimate of that loss of $500,000. And so with this information, we see that there's a loss that's both probable and able to be reasonably estimated. And so we believe it is in Fox Corporation's best interest to record that loss on the 2012 financial statements. And then we would also suggest you include a footnote disclosure. So here you can describe the nature of the lawsuit, that it hasn't happened yet. Provide the public with a reasonable date to expect that the lawsuit will be resolved by then, and describe the current status of the lawsuit. And so by including all this in the 2012 financials, it's really just providing your investors with a clear picture of what happened during the year.
Yeah, I know this is an area that, I know that we feel that our exposure is quite that number. We feel pretty passionate about our position.
Yeah.
So we could very happy to table it off for a second conversation. Kind of maybe we could determine where this stands.
Well, then we would suggest that you can definitely reach out to legal counsel, make sure that both sides have all the facts. Because from our standpoint, if we receive information from them that they expect it to be a $500,000 loss, then from an audit standpoint, then that's what we would suggest you include in your financials. But again, if you want to talk with legal counsel, make sure that everyone's on the same page, then maybe they might return with a different assessment.
And I think from what Megan's been saying, this is an important issue for us, just from the standpoint of this is what the financial reporting rules are saying, and this is what they're asking of us and what they're asking of you as a public company. And, we understand that the legal liability is more of up in the air, but, given the data that we have, this is, what the financial reporting rules are saying. And the next issue that we would like to move on to address is your acquisition of Bow Wow, and it's nearly doubled your assets, which is an incredible growth area, but that also has expanded the level of the audit work that we'll be doing for you, just because as required by financial reporting standards, any of the assets that are included in your company, in your financial statements at the end of the period are required to be a part of our audit work. And I'm actually going to pass it over to Josh to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so just talking about that audit work, the actual codification is ASC 805, and it talks about business combinations a lot, and it's really going to expand our audit work just moving forward, as you do have so many more assets in the company than previously you had before. So one of the things you got in acquiring Bow Wow was goodwill, and we have to value this goodwill, and we have to bring in a bunch of financial experts from our company to really take a look at this goodwill and evaluate it. That's what we're getting at here. There's going to be an increase of audit fees that I think Lisa will talk about a little bit later. We've already run by the CFO, and he's on board with it, so we do just want to mention that to you. But some other areas that we're going to be increasing work are the more inventory warehouses, and we're going to have to send people out there and do inventory counts and different things like that. And also just the more assets, more testing, and just, we didn't expect this, the acquisition to occur until next year. So as it is this year, we are going to have to increase our scope for this year and do a lot more testing in that regard.
When I hear the word specialist, I think dollar signs. So what exactly will your specialist be doing?
Right, so it's a goodwill acquisition that you got in acquiring Bow Wow, and they're going to be valuing this goodwill and just seeing the difference between the price that Fox Corporation paid for Bow Wow and maybe the market price of that. So we have to bring in our team of experts at Deloitte to take a look at this and tell us what value we should be assessing for goodwill and make sure it aligns with the value that you guys